Hey, Bookish Matt. Nice to have you here. I am running a list that I have been doing, um, small sample size, I guess. Have been running very well with the last two nights. I took a mini break after last Thursday as I went on vacation. Came back Monday, did a stream with Inigo, and then played with Inigo, actually shout out again to Inigo and Ollie Rad for hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly for top eighting the last challenge, both of them. Inigo went undefeated in the Swiss, but unfortunately lost in the top eight, and then Ollie Rad unfortunately lost in the finals to DNT. But impressive run nonetheless, especially for Ali, who I think just picked up the deck. Though I know he plays pre-modern elves. Also, a very nice run by Inigo, who I mentioned this on stream on Monday, but has improved a lot ever since in the last half year, I would say. But Monday night, I played a list that was somewhat inspired by Inigo moving the Progenitus to the sideboard um, in a attempt to reduce the failure rate of the deck. And also, I want to give some credit to Martin, I think it's Lindstrom, uh, Fluffy21 as well, who I noticed hasn't really been running that, if any, removal in the sideboard at all. And I think that was enough for me to at least feel okay going down to virtually two removal spells um, in the sideboard in the two Shriek Maws, which can be found off Once Upon a Time, which is nice, but really there for sequencing reasons with Glimpse of Nature. Uh, I think in tonight's stream, I will change one card because I think I do want the first crowd rotation. Also, I'm like debating about playing the first Mindbreak Trap in the league because Mindbreak Trap tends to be pretty good in leagues. Also, it's just more variety for us to not, be soft against things like Veil of Summer or just turn one decks trying to like, mold to the nuts against us that where endurance doesn't matter, for instance. So I think we'll try that. I think in a paper meta game, I would probably never play Mindbreak Trap because I just don't think it's as common in the paper meta game. But I think online, especially leagues, you never know what you're gonna run into because I don't think Delver is policing these decks. Not because it can't, but because I just don't think it's like super represented by league players. I don't think Delver is policing these decks as much. So I think those are the two changes I want to play. I think if I really want to mess with players, I could probably even cut the Force of Vigor for one ley line. So you really have like a diversified sideboard here, right? Between one Force of Vigor, one Crop, one Mindbreak Trap, um, one ley line, and then the full set of Thoughtseize and Endurance because they just are too good in fair matchups as well, right? Um, but yeah, I think that's the gist of it. If there's no, you know, hey Neil, how's it going? If there's no what's it called argument, then I guess I will start. Well, I'll bring the list here. Yeah, so Inigo, if you have no issues, here's what I'm like tentatively playing tonight. Obviously, I despise this card, but it tends to be good against the stuff that we're weak against, namely the Rite of Flame decks and Oops All Spells too, because it does beat Leyline of Sanctity, which is the premier, I would say, anti-endurance slash bog or anti-green hate card, right? If that makes sense, because we can't bog our graveyard players and we can't endurance them, so. Um, Definitely a very cool innovation from the Oops All Spells community, Leyline of Sanctity. Obviously, in the past, it's been good out of like show and tell decks to beat, discard dot deck, so to speak. I think go ahead and start. Yeah, I think upgrading the duress for heavy hitters is like a reasonable thought. It's just what are the correct ones, right? Oh no, we paired into Romario. I need to tell Romario. He needs to tell me when he's playing so we don't queue into each other. What? A collusion of the wrong variety, bookish man. I don't want to parent to Romario, right? Obviously, for those who follow me, know that Romario is a frequent what's it called? Is a frequent guest on our stream, and I guess if you think it's collusion, he could be, the if we do win, you can accuse him or me of paying our actors, so to speak, right? Paid actors to make our deck look good. But Romario is definitely, I would say, one of the players I will consult with regards to this deck because I think he's a very just strong player, and I think he's at a point where he is very good. I think with this deck, given that he has had the reps in now, right? I think here we want to leave the opportunity to Gris on the following turn, so I'll go ahead and do that. Yeah, it's so rare to run into other Mavericks, but I hate when it happens. Yeah, I can imagine that, bookish man. Like, I don't run into Maverick personally, myself. Too like I'm paired into too many players. I think the only one is like Dukes, and I don't think I've paired him that much. So playing against this. Okay, so Romario is on the Paradigm Shift deck, which is interesting. Well, actually, it's what we played last time too. So let's go ahead and bash first. I think here we definitely play the land drop, and then I don't think actually he does have Lotus mana, so we'll play the Collector Oof, and then we'll play the Arbor, and then we'll pass, right? Like we're gonna Endurance Romario here if he goes for the kill. Okay, there's what, one card left in the library. Yeah, I think we're just dead. I don't. Yeah, Endurance doesn't do anything here because what's it called? We put two back, and he has Devotion too, right? I used to frequently get paired into Straz deck and logo, but hate to see it. Yeah, it does happen for sure. That reminds me. Here are the socials again for my account. I know there has been a little bit more interest as of late. Actually, that reminds me. My most important my most important article that I think I've ever written is going to be released part one next week. I thought about releasing both, but two reasons why. Well, actually, it's kind of related, the same reason. But I. What is it called? Okay, we should focus here. I don't think endurance. Well, it could matter against Romario. I definitely think we just want the discard spells. The Mind Trap awkwardly not the duress here, so that definitely hurts. Um, I do think. So Romario feels kind of guilty for pairing into me. I told him it's all good, like it happens. I don't think Bog really does anything in this matchup. I mean, I don't. I mean, Euro could be relevant, but I don't think that's kind of the kind of game we want to play. Endurance. Maybe we keep one just because, like, if the game goes late, like we can green sun for it. But I don't think it's great because usually the Oracle can. I haven't played against this deck much, to be honest. Oh, obviously the Oracle can beat it, right? Like because of devotion, like it did the previous turn there. Yeah, like I said, I do not have too many reps against this deck, but I feel like we don't want to overboard here. Possible we don't even bring in the endurance. I feel like it doesn't even do anything. Yeah, let's keep one just a tutor for, but that's about it. Doesn't seem great to me. Yeah, Straz Daddy, I think I paired into like a few times Bookish Matt. I just don't think it was like anytime recent. It's got to be at least a few months since then, or that I'm misremembering. It's one or the other, right? I think we keep right. Like it's got a nice ancestral recall-ish turn on turn two. Obviously Romario could force, but we'll see how aggressive he is with this. One advantage I would say that Romario has in this matchup is because he is familiar with the elf lines. It means he's more adept to properly responding, right? I think here we're gonna lead with the shepherd. Um, I think we're gonna actually uh, make more mana, right? We're gonna play the reclaimer and then do it like this. Okay, we're being rewarded here for our sequencing, right? Like now we get to cast the Heritage Druid with a ton of mana. I think this is a line that not a lot of elf players are too aware of, but very very important. So I think here we can Green Sun, yeah, for one, and then this will reset our mana for the turn. We're guaranteed at least two more draws. We might not kill here, but I don't. Having played the other deck ourselves, we know that they can't either. I think we just try to go deeper, I guess. As they say in Inception. Alright, we'll pass. I think it will be difficult based on when we played with Romario on stream last time this deck. I think it will be different for them to win here. Yeah, so Brainstorm makes a lot of sense because I think he has to kind of go for the win here. And I think even a whatever can't save Romario here, the pedal into Thought Lash, right? We kind of just had the nuts, right? Yeah. So Romario is giving me the benefit of the doubt here, obviously, that I know not to bounce and just like bash for 20 some next turn. I think based on the way this played out, yeah, I don't love this card. Um, it's like it's like very sketch. Actually, the Thought Lash is kind of interesting, right? Like, maybe there's argument to be made for the Force of Vigors. But the thing about that is, if they're gonna play the Thought Lash, they probably have the combo. And even if we force, well, let me think. We could do it Actually, I do like that. That might be better than the stuff that we have here. Right, we can force a vigor if they want, I guess. If they already have the, well, I guess what they can do is in response is like ethereal library, right? But then they live, they like don't, they would have to do it on their turn, and then their shields are down. That might be just better than the other stuff that we have. I think I like that. I feel like that's one way we lose, which is they just like flog us a bunch of turns. So I think I'll make the adjustment there, and the rest looks okay. Now this is just like two ships passing the night. I think like outside of the Force of Wills and the Thoughtseize. Sure. Again, here because it's A plus B combo, a little bit regretting not having access to the duress, but you can't have everything, right? Like it's one of the downfalls. I think here we're gonna go ahead and fetch first. Hey Yogg, how's it going? And then we're gonna once. This is a good top deck, admittedly. Yeah, what do we have here? I think we just like want raw speed. Obviously, we have a land already, so I'm not gonna take that. There's like some merit into the birch lore. Obviously, it pairs really well with the crop rotation. I do like that. So let's do that actually, and then we'll leave with turn one Thoughtseize. Oh no. So obviously here, again, discard being a little bit of liability against Veil Summer, as we kind of mentioned. The good thing is it's kind of a two for two in a way, right? Because they had to Romario had to blow the Lotus Petal, which is pretty relevant. Then tell me that's shift already. Loomer 88. I've been watching your VODs trying to learn this. My first league opponent was not a. That's pretty funny. I feel your pain for sure. Okay. I think we're probably dead here. Sounds like Wasteland here would be kind of nice, right? You hit the Ottawara, but let's do this. I think we're likely dead because I don't think Romario would shift without having the combo. But yeah, that's kind of rough here. Like we even had the Thoughtseize, but then it got veiled, and then he had to turn two shift plus presumably Oracle in hand. All right, we have two mana floating. What can we do here? And then we can bounce, untap. That doesn't do anything though. All right, we'll just pass. I think we're dead though, but we'll see. Yeah. All right. So Romario is jokingly saying, "Please no snuff out," right? Like it would be good here, but unfortunately we're playing the Shriek Maul, right? I guess we live with the fact that this could happen. So all good. We lost to Romario, but I of course you hate to lose, but then I think I wouldn't mind like losing to a good friend like Romario. Also, I do think the matchup is probably a little bit harder with the sideboard we ran tonight because one, we are hedging against Delver by playing the Shriekmaw, and that plays, and that's worse against creature combo, right? Obviously, Paradigm Shift is not really creature combo, but has the snuff out potentially in that case would have had text, and not having the duress there was tough. I think the back-breaking thing was the Veil of Summer for sure, but I don't know if it would have mattered. 5 lands. I do not think we can keep this. This is a lot better. So here we're on the play. Keep if our green sun resolves and doesn't get blown up, I think we have like pretty good turns coming along. Um, but if not, then it doesn't do it. I actually think I'm gonna develop the board and put the glimpse on bottom. This is like counterintuitive, but I think I do like that. So funny you mentioned that. This is my first week testing four veils. Of course, right, Mario? It has to be like that. So we'll see what our opponent does. There's some people who will like force a once upon a time for reasons, I guess, whatever you want to call it. I think here we just take the land drop because I definitely don't want to miss land drop on turn two. Even though bog is kind of a suboptimal land, I think we still take it. A little bit awkward though. Once upon a time is not supposed to fail us like this. Very disappointed. Aha. Mirror, perhaps? Could be Posts. What else is playing Once Upon a Time like right now? I think Elves and Posts are like the two big ones. Maverick does too, but I haven't seen Maverick too much. Um, I don't know if they're a Maverick player or not. I think the deck that probably should be playing that is not is maybe Depths. There's Painter, I guess, that I've seen it, like red-green Painter. Those are the ones, I guess. City of Traders. Okay, now I'm kind of must be green Eldrazi maybe, or just Eldrazi in general. All right, that's not the worst. I think here we want to just yeah, let's leave with a Visionary, see what happens. Sure. I know, right? Eldrazi in 2022. What is going on here? So I played the Visionary because the idea was I wanted just to hit natural land drops instead of like a Bajuka Bog. Um, Drawing the Glimpse there was not too bad, but ideally we have like a Heritage here to follow up. We could be seeing also a Chalice of the Void. So that's another reason why I didn't leave with the Shepherd, because we can time walk our opponent if they go for the Chalice here, right? Okay, they go for the Matter Reshaper, which is essentially a do-nothing card in this matchup. And we're not going to block. There's no rush at the moment. Speaking of the devil. Alright, let's do it this way. And yes, this way. Alright, we can draw minimum 2. I think I'm going to cash in my Thought Cast here. That's not bad. And that's not bad. And I think we'll just leave this up. Our opponent may just not realize we have onboard tricks, right? They can waste us, obviously, but I don't think we care with the Reclaimer out. Like, Wasteland does not really beat Reclaimer because you just do it until they don't have any more. Obviously, the exception is if they have Wasteland Loan going, but this is not a deck that can do that. So what's going to happen here is our opponent is in a world of trouble because we have the 5/5s that are threatening lethal next turn, and they can't really stop it, right? Because we have a Reclaimer as well, which means no amount of Wasteland is going to be able to stop us here. The power of Reclaimer. Ooh, okay. So that's one way to stop it. You can name Shepherd activation. I didn't expect that, like, pre-boarded, but not the most unusual. I've seen it before, I guess. Actually, I messed up. I should have activated in response, so that was a mess up by me. I don't think it, like, they can sneak 2 damage as a result, but because I wasn't gonna block the 3/2 regardless. Who knows? Maybe they would have attacked anyways. Sure. I don't think we care. So a little bit. They may not have attacked. It could, but you have to play like these bounce lands, right? That can do it. Okay, there's that, I guess. I'm just gonna. Is it even worth it to attack? I feel like it's not. I feel like the deck thinning is probably more relevant. But I definitely screwed up there because our opponent might not be incentivized to attack there. Maybe they still do, just to cycle the reshaper, but um, our opponent may not be incentivized there if I had just paid attention and activate the shepherd in response, right? Maybe I just not paying attention, not respecting our Eldrazi opponent here enough, right? So here we could go to 12 if we really want to, and then like double fetch with the reclaimer. It looks like a potential what is it, the 5/5? I forgot what it's called already. It's coming down here, or Endbringer maybe. Oh, that's kind of annoying. Exile top card reviver, sure. So we can actually just like take this down if we really want to. I saved the Alex Shepherd for a glimpse turn. May or may not matter. So the problem is they get more cards if we kill their thing, right? So we'll do it like this. We have that, and then we can even thin some more. Go to 11, I guess. That's a good draw. I'm actually tempted to just do it like this because in case we need the blockers. That also rewards us here, right? Like we can now kill the Ugin, which is nice. And I think we want to pitch the Shepherd. Actually, no, because of the Chalice of the Void. I think we'll just pitch a Visionary. Kill the Ugin. And then leave this Shepherd in hand. I don't think we're under any pressure, so we'll just pass. Notably here, we gotta have to keep in mind that we only have one more stretchable, right? Like, so the sequencing of deck thinning here is gonna matter a lot. Definitely not. I should be maybe potentially at 14, but I don't think that will matter. Hopefully not famous last words here. Of course. Why? I think here we'll go ahead and respond by deck thinning. We will see if they attack here. Obviously, if they attack the Grist, we have to kind of block. Um, well, that's not entirely true, I guess. One thing we can do here is actually, I don't want to give them the extra card. Did they play a land yet? No. Oh, yes, they did. So this is kind of a cool line. So we can protect our Gris here, and without giving them the card, right? And get the Cradle. Now, obviously, we fetch here, and then we're out of fetchable, so to speak, right? But more deck thinning. That's pretty good. All right, so I feel like we're in a situation where we kind of want to just fire off the glimpse. I don't think we can wait too much longer. Okay, that's really good. Do we have lethal here? 6. Okay, we could. The dangerous play here would be to grist uptake, but I think because we have lethal, there's really no need. I'm just gonna go ahead and just like green sun for Cradle Hoof, and they're just dead, right? So I think the main takeaway is you just don't give them the card, right? You just like fog. These are like the old Wirewood and like Queen Ranger tricks with elves and forests, where it's like the old Queen Ranger trick, really, right? You put the forest in front, you just like rotate it away. It's even better, right? Because you're not down a land drop and you deck thin. All right, pretty straightforward there. Don't want endurance in this matchup. Don't want bog. Although the bog there being extra land drop was relevant, even then I don't think it's particularly great. Let me look at my trusty sideboard map. I forget how I sideboard. It's been a while since I played against Eldrazi. So it looks like I am going down on the Wirewoods, which makes sense. Oh, actually, Shriekmaw is just completely insane in this matchup because Eldrazi are not artifacts. I think it says non-artifact, non-black. Yeah. I think the rest is like fine. And the reason why we're boarding out the Wirewoods, I think, is because if there's a Chalice of the Void, it's gonna really stop both. But if there isn't one, the Glimpse of Natures have much higher upside. Ugh. Close, but no cigar. But like I said, we took an extra 3 damage for no reason. But I didn't think it would matter. It ended up not. Put this arbor back. Our hand is not particularly great. The collective has text, but again, like we don't have the best card in this kind of matchup tends to be like natural order. Looks like it's a spyglass. Sure. Here's like an interesting decision for our opponent. They can like name the wooded foothills a reclaimer. Um, if they've named the wooded foothills, what we do is we can just like pitch it away with the reclaimer down the road. I think more likely they're gonna just probably name the reclaimer here. This is like the cheese play, right? That they're taking. If, obviously, if we only have one fetch, we'd probably be screwed in this position. But so they named the Alice Sword Shepherd. That's kind of an interesting name. I think given our hand here, we got a ramp. Hey, High Star, how's it going? Might be a TKS. Yep. So they're presumably gonna take the natural order now. The best draw here, I think, might be like a Shriek Ball. Just like take the Thoughtseize, the not Thoughtseize, well, kind of the Thoughtseize, I guess. The Thought Knot Seer off the board, while also what is it called? Allowing us to like tap mana accordingly, right? They did not take the Collective Oof. Sorry, what did they took the Reclaimer? What is going on? Okay, that's an interesting line. I think we draw here and see what they do. Okay. I think we here, I think in this situation, we can like double draw, right? So I'm gonna, cash in the extra draw while I can. If they want to waste us, like so be it. I'm not really super afraid of wasteland. I think I would have named Symbiote with Spyglass. I think on that board state, it's kind of tough, right? I already have the Cradle, so naming Reclaimer doesn't do anything. Um, I actually don't think Waterwood is like that great. Like, and the reason being is they don't know this, but like I said, I boarded three of them out, right? Like, I just happened to have the one here. I don't even think we block. I think we just take it here, right? I want the creatures on board. Also, the visionary, the creature on board here represents an extra mana with the Waterwood. There's no way they're gonna waste the Arbor instead of the Cradle. I mean, obviously they could have both, but sure. They gotta take the natural here. Like, I don't think they have a choice, right? Do you think Ant or Doomsday is better in the meta right now? Great question. I personally think Ant is better because it has a good Delver matchup, but I mean that's like super simplifying things, right? We're gonna go ahead and balance preemptively here. Obviously, they could have like Dismember, which would be annoying. Okay, that's like kind of the best draw possible. Could be a Warping Whale, but I doubt it. Yeah, so I think Ant personally is better, but I obviously just simplified it to the fact that it has a better Delver matchup, right? I think here we're just gonna try to stay in the Glimpse chain as possible. Ooh, speaking of the double, that also is good. I think here what I want to do is maximize my mana. So I'm not gonna return the Visionary, just return one draws because I have double Glimpse going. Oh, nice. Just like the full value, right now. I think here, do we fetch? I think we do. I think we do, yeah. We're gonna get two draws notably here, by the way. This is like kind of hot for the Shriek Maul, right? Oh my god. Somebody clip this, please. And just like, this is like a full value, right? Oh my god. Just too good. I think the game might just be over now. Obviously, we've already played a land drop, so I think I'll just bash. Or even, I think here we will discard the fetch. The life could matter, and we're just so far ahead. I just want to think of how we lose, and just like them maybe like ripping two smashers in a row or something like that. I don't. That doesn't even solve things, I think, for them, but it's a different story, right? Might just be game. I will take a quick restroom break after this. Presumably, we're winning next turn. Do we care? Um, Probably not. All right, so they have the blast zone, which is interesting. Huh. Okay, so they can 2, 3 mana. They can activate it now. The Allosaurus Shepherd is off. I don't think we care. I think we're gonna hold and bounce this, and then force them to pop here. We want as much board presence as possible, which is why I'm not bouncing the Visionary. That was a mistake by them, by the way. They should have popped there when given the chance. Here. trying to see how we can like squeeze in extra damage here. We have to be careful though because this can pop at any time, right? Like, so if they do pop it, we have two attackers still and a hoof. I think that's probably warrants it. So if we don't, sorry, if we play a creature here and they do pop it, then we're gonna be down to 2 mana. I think we just like don't mess around here and just like float the mana preemptively. Uh, Notably here, the one extra would add the mana that we need. So let's do this actually. I'm gonna go ahead and we can even hard cast this, but I don't think I want to. I'm trying to like squeeze extra mana out if I can, right? This might be just the best play, right? Plays around Mind Break Trap too, which I like. I don't think we want to get greedy, right? We're trying to like squeeze more creatures in before they pop the blast zone. All right, so they go ahead and do it there. I think what I would like to do here is just untap, bounce the heritage, and then allow that to resolve. Sure. And then we can even do that. Just like kill that. Draw a card. It's not gonna matter. We have lethal, I believe. Yeah. Our opponent should have main phased it, in my opinion, but I don't think it really would matter. We were like way ahead. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and use the restroom real quick. I'll be back. We are back. Um, I want to note one important thing. I know the Shriek Maw off the double glimpse there was kind of amazing. I do want to highlight Eldrazi is probably the matchup where this is like the best. It's like the best matchup for Shriek Maw, right? Like it kills everything for 2 mana. It doesn't give them a land like Assassin's Trophy does. Um, it's like it can target their big things and like it's not playable at the moment, but like Abrupt Decay does not. Fatal Push obviously doesn't get around Chalice of the Void. This kind of it's almost the best matchup for Shriek Maul. But you could have fear and trample on your summoning six shriek. I could, definitely could. Didn't think it was necessary. Especially for leagues, I I don't really care too much about like trying to do the most. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess meme worthy or like post worthy image, right? I value my own time, so I mean obviously clicks are nice for like Twitter or whatnot, social media, but I you know don't care that much for it, I guess. I think this hand is potentially a trap. It'd be so much better if one of these glimpses was like a guy's crate or something. Because if they answer the green sun, this hand becomes potentially bad. Um, I think we're gonna play it safe. Ugh, okay, that's what I get for playing it safe. The hand we kept obviously could have worked out. We had like a decent. Actually, in hindsight, maybe I should have kept. I think we keep it visionary here. Um, we could have potentially either had the green sun resolve or just naturally hit a land drop, which is a little under 50%. I don't know what it is. Okay, so interesting. I think here I'm a little bit relieved. We modify, but our modify might just be really good against this deck still. I mean, if you play rock, we know you're about consistency and not flashiness. Sure, that makes that that's quite true. I think here we're gonna go ahead and take the ramp of the visionary. Obviously, things would be different if I had a glimpse of nature in hand. Then I would be tempted to leave the um, get a cradle, right? So sorry, get an arbor so that I can have a creature to play the glimpse of nature. But I think this ramps here already. They need to put a threat on the board pretty soon. Otherwise, otherwise they just fall too much behind. I think we just bounce here preemptively. They're probably gonna name the symbiote, which is fine. Small chance they name Reclaimer. I highly doubt it. There we go. All right. So here, if we don't draw another land, we're gonna lead with the ranger, and then if that's not relevant, well, I guess it doesn't matter, right? Like, it's whether we draw a land here or not. So we're gonna lead with the ranger, go up to 3 mana for the cradle, and then see if we can hit another land drop. This deck really, really needs to hit land drop. I cannot emphasize that enough. You can work. Okay, that I forgot. There's no bounce. Cancel. I guess we just bash, right? There's let's see, four. The good thing is we're gonna be able to double natural order next turn. Obviously, I'm guessing you're not updating your cradles or greens with fancier ours. No, I'm not. I've already updated the foils. I don't want to like restart all that process. Sure. The funny thing is, if they have another bauble here, they can't tell we have two. All right. We're just gonna just like slam two natural orders and see what happens. Right. It's the game plan here. That's even better. Increases the count. got to be force and then force, right? Like, so they'd be down a couple cards. Cannoneer, sure. Yeah, all right. That's like this matchup is one of our best, and they need their route to victory is pretty much, in my opinion, there's like one way I've seen that they can have success, and that's like they're on the play, they go turn one saga with like some other stuff, and then essentially have multiple constructs by turn three with Shadow Spear backup. That is like one way they can steal a game, but that assumes that they also have force of will to stop whatever we are doing. It's a lot to ask, but I've seen that be have some success. Obviously, we are throwing in some huge haymakers in the forces of vigors. I think we want the Caracas. I don't think the Bog really does anything in this match. It like stops Emery, I guess, for a turn, but I don't think that's the kind of game we really want to play, right? And obviously, Shriek Mod just doesn't hit anything. They have all artifacts, right? I guess it hits an Emery. All right. I think we'll run it back. Maybe T1 Chalice off Saga. Yeah, that's probably like the ideal start, I think, Jason. Like, because the problem with this deck against us, well, there's a lot actually, but one of the issues why it's hard for them to win is because their clock is otherwise too slow, and that's why they almost have to have a perfect start to win. The other two reasons is harder to fix. One, Shepard blanks all their disruption, and two, we have an I win condition in just Collector Oof. So there's just multiple problems with this matchup for them. There's the faded turn one chalice potentially. But yeah, that's probably the ideal start, and we just happen not to have the Shepherd, right? And then and that can get off a lot of pressure. That is like the one way I've seen they can win games. Now having that happen twice is a tough ask. Sure. Yeah. See, this is not the type of start they can afford, right? Like just a do nothing turn one. Um, Normally I would fetch the thin, but I think given our hand here, we want to save this potentially for an arbor. So I'm gonna leave with the ones. Um, Collector. This is just a ridiculous card. I actually potentially just lead with the forest there because like there's no black cards um, that we're running, and some of these weird lists do run wasteland. So slight misplay on my behalf. They generally don't have it, but you never know. It almost feels like they are holding up Dismember. Actually, what I should have done there was attack with the Shepherd. If they dismember it, that's fine. That means they wouldn't have dismembered the collective. So I'm usually better about that than there, but I screwed up. And now I think I'm gonna get punished, right? Yeah. Yeah, so a small misplay by me. It's possible they like try to eat the shepherd during combat, and that actually plays into what I want. Um, I think we do this and see what they do. Okay, we can still bash here. Yeah, so a small misplay. Some of these players will like be tempted to kill the shepherd in combat, especially after seeing the guy's cradle. But maybe it won't matter here. We'll see. Thank you for the follow, Bean Zera. Yeah, I mean this matchup is quite good. I've joked before. If you're a new Elves player, there's nothing better to getting acclimated to the deck than like maybe this matchup. You just have like free wins all over the place, right? And there's like I said, three different issues, and two of them are very difficult to solve, in my opinion, with the matchup. One, you have a card in Allosaurus Shepherd, which is a 3 to 4 that you can essentially have like almost 8 copies of between Once Upon a Time and Green Sun Zenith that just shuts off all disruption. And not only that, you have a one card tutor target that shuts off their entire deck. So pretty bad matchup for them. And the the latter can be solved a little bit with Dismember, but the slow clock is the killer in my opinion. That's true, Sadra. I like didn't think about that, but I just a lot of times against these eight cast players, especially in leagues, I just like sleepwalk through the matchup, right, where I don't even think about it because the matchup is that lopsided. But yeah, you are right. I did reveal up to the once, but if I had not, there are some people who would kill the shepherd just to be like just to cut off my mana for Cradle, right? Especially. All right. Not the best, but I think I'll keep. Obviously, our natural orders here are dead, but well, sort of dead. It's a little awkward. I think since we have Jason here, he'll be happy to see there's no main deck Progenitus. I know the DNT family were not too happy about seeing that. Uh, Also, with the DNT family here, shout out to I think Isolated System for winning the challenge on Sunday. I think that is their username. Looks like either Delver or Sneak and Show. We'll see. Probably Sneak and Show. I mean, Delver. If you know you're playing against an elf player, probably not the best to have just turn one Ponder, in my opinion. I think you want a threat on one and just like all destruction after that, especially pre board. Excuse me. This is not a great draw. I think the draws I would have wanted were like a land, perhaps. Um, One drops are nice. Not what I wanted to see. Reclaim. Oh yeah, any one drop I think would have been nice. Okay, there's a Dragon Rage for Channeler. The nice thing is blue mana means they can't kill the Arbor. So we are gonna untap with full, uh, essentially shields down, right? Like I don't even care at this point if they force the glimpse. What's going on? Why can't I? All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna. Given that we just drew this reclaimer, yeah. Why don't we do that? We're gonna shepherd here. They would you ever go down to 3 glimpse? I would consider it, but we're not near that stage. I would consider it though, but we're not anywhere near that. Here, what I'm gonna try to do actually is, if I can, I don't want to reveal to them I'm on the reclaimer version. Well, now it's too late, but um, hmm. Actually, we're gonna double glimpse now because we have the birch lore. We're just gonna go nuts now because we have the mana. I think the game is over, like quite frankly. Uh, and then here, I think we can just pitch the Once Upon a Time, and then just like reset their yard, right? Like trying to think how we can lose this game. Then we'll pitch a land, I guess. Game is like well over though. I think our opponent, like, I know I'm being, I think this might sound like hyperbole, but I think our opponent lost the game on turn one by not having a threat, and turn two not answering what we do. Right, you got to do one or the other, right? I think not having a threat is huge, and then the second thing that's in my opinion game losing is not. Okay, so now we play through lightning bolt plus whatever lightning bolt plus force. I respect not wanting to reveal info, but your username should be a social. I guess that's true. Not everybody knows that though, for what it's worth. But I think that's a valid point, Sadra. Speaking of which, I played my LGS last night for the first time in I would say 2.5 years since the pandemic started. My second round opponent, who I didn't know personally, right, uh, greeted me as we sat down with "Hello, Newton," and I wasn't sure if that was a joke. I assumed it probably was, so I just kind of laughed it off. But then they mentioned afterwards they had seen my stream, so that was kind of funny, right? Like I will look forward to more of that if that does come up. That's kind of a cool thing that happened. I definitely would not have it. I definitely didn't think about it, but yeah, as like I said, the last time I played paper Magic was before the pandemic. So I guess because I've been streaming since then, I think I've been streaming since really last year or so. That might be why, but that was something that came up. For those interested, they were on the blue red dichotomy deck. But yeah, they greeted me with "Hello, Newton." Yeah, so last night it felt pretty good, right? The paper comeback was nice. What's hell no? Would you? That'd be me. All right, so what does it call it? I went 3-0 and then just split the last round because I wanted to leave. It was like already late at night. Like this is a Tuesday and I have work in the morning. So I went 3-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, but I definitely got lucky in the matchups. The small matchup game one, they were on the more grindy version, and they didn't hit the combo too much later. And we both won a five, but I think that benefits me. Oh, okay. So here, Digital Sloth is here. So he can Alan it was his name, and can actually describe this experience himself. But yeah, Digital Sloth is Alan. We'll keep here. Yeah, so he had heard also that he kept the three force hand because I had mentioned I was gonna play Ant, and that probably will be what I will play next week. I think at my LGS if I make it out. It's that or DNC. I think we'll see, but I tend to. It was my first week back from playing, so I figured I should play Elves, but I actually refrain from playing Elves for these weekly events usually. Here again, Cardinal Sin from our opponent. I I feels like they're gonna bolt whatever we do. I kind of hate the fact that they can get away with just bolting on Arbor here. I feel like I would just leave with the Arbor, the Heritage Druid, right? For sure, we'll play again soon. Hopefully at the LGS Allen. I think here we'll go ahead and play the Druid and see what happens. I expect another bolt to be honest. And if that's the case, then hopefully we'll see if they bolt the Arbor or not, right? If they do, it means they don't bolt the Reclaimer, right? and we'll cycle the cradle if need be. Oh wow, okay, they didn't do anything. Wow, okay. So here we're gonna fire off the glimpse. They may force this, we'll see. We only have two creatures in hand, so I think we're okay if they do. And then notably here, we're gonna force the reclaimer through. Do we bash? I feel like we probably do. If they want to block, they can. I think the card we're most afraid of here is Rough Tumble. Sure. Yeah, I definitely should have picked up that they were gonna bolt my thing. I think I would have just led with Heritage and just like messed up their sequencing in that situation. Glimpse is always either bad or game winning. Yeah, that's why Shriek Maul helps here, right? Huh. Let's see. What do we want to do? I want to keep Shepherd activation up because it plays around a bunch of things. No, I don't. I don't think we need to, right? Like we can untap. I want to play around End of Festivities. All right. Now it's a nightmare for them. I think here we bash with all and see what they do. They've got a block, in my opinion. And then we actually have another cradle. I played pretty defensively here. I just don't think we're gonna lose, right? Like if we play defensively. The game is over, in my opinion. That doesn't even work, right? Like, I think what we can do here is bounce it like this, and then hold up End of Festivities. Right, that protects these two. Yeah. We probably, if I thought about it harder, I agree, Sadra. I want to shout out Inigo for this too. Like, and he's come a long way definitely in the last few months. And he mentioned to me that what ended up happening was and everything goes back to Inigo putting in the time, right? Like, he asked me to track my data so that we can have a sample size, and I am lazy and but begrudgingly accepted that. And what happened was he looked at the win rate of me, himself, and even Jurg, right? And I won't get into Jurg for a second, but I'll talk about Inigo and myself because I know firsthand from him that he's told me this. He looked at the data and he said, well, interesting enough, he saw my game one win rate against Delver was actually slightly lower than his. and I think his was like 60. Actually, at the time I think it was before we had changed our sideboard removal plan. Right, it's probably like right after the Ragavan ban too. So like probably the worst we've been in a while against Delver, but I think he was like 60 some percent, and probably because he took more aggressive lines, and I was probably like right at 60 or so. But the big difference was he noticed post board he was, sub 50, so 40%, whatever it was, and I was more or less the same, still 60%, and he was like, why is this the case that more or less Newton has, the same win rate pre and post board, and then his fell off dramatically. And he looked at the win rate, or what was the win condition that we tracked, right? And he saw my win condition against Delver was for the most part just beat down, right? That's the description we use. While his was Allosaurus Shepherd. So he put one and one together and told me he felt like maybe he's just overextending into sweepers too much because he looked at my win rate with just Shepherd activation and it was actually quite low compared to his, right? And when he had the data for that, he adjusted accordingly. And ever since then, like he's played more defensively and unwilling to lose to end the festivities if he can, right? So um, again, the hard work paying off in dividends there for Inigo. Like I said, all of that is possible only because of the data tracking, right? He looked at his data, he looked at mine, and he noticed a lot of his wins were from the Dino Bash, that's what he calls it. And a lot of my wins were just like 3-4 beatdown, so to speak. And he realized he was just walking into too many sweepers when he didn't need to. So one of the big level ups for Inigo, right? And that was like a data assisted, so to speak. And I definitely agree. Like the defensive shepherd is what he's been calling it, and he said that has helped him a lot in the blue red matchup. Yeah, actually, Sadra, I don't know if you saw the most recent stream, but that's the whole reason for why I've been playing the last two nights, right? One time at LGS, so I think I played a total of 8 matches, right? Five in Monday night's stream, not stream, but off stream, and I went 4-1. Three, I beat Delver off stream three different times actually. I posted on Twitter, and then I think you probably even saw it, Sadra. And then yesterday I played at my LGS three matches, and then won all three. One of them was against the Delverless Bullwinkle version, right? We're playing against Joe L. We'll see. Again, this is like kind of one of those shaky hands where like I just don't want to just lose to removal. Not yet. It's in the viewing list. You guys went right live. Yeah, that happens. All good, Sadra. Also, I think it's a little bit redundant to have three shots. I think I'm gonna mull it back and just like play it safe, right? Like there's with the London rule, I think we're more incentivized to mulligan now when we don't have a great hand, and obviously that hand over there could just like lose on the spot if they have removal, or wasteland, or both. So we'll keep and bottom one of the Basages here. Obviously, if they're on something like Moon, I want to play around it in the dark. Play out the Heritage Druid. But if they do have Moon, the Glimpse of Nature becomes significantly worse. Yeah, I don't think I've been happier for anybody lately than Inigo because I do know how hard he works, right? And not everybody can be like Jurg or Levi, where it's just natural. They like immediately start winning, week one, so to speak. Not everybody's like that, and I think the majority of players can look to Inigo because one of the comments I get a lot is, "Oh, this version is too hard, right? I can't play it perfectly." And unfortunately, I know I've brought this up before. That's kind of an asking point when you pick up this version. You kind of have to accept you have to play pretty tight. And shout out definitely to Inigo for the big level up, I would say, in the last few months. Obviously, not all at once. It was like pretty gradual. He went from his first top eight, which was 4-2 4-0 into 4-2, so to speak. Okay, and then I think he had like an X1 top eight, and then this most recent time, XO into top eight. Yeah, yeah, for sure, Sage. I definitely appreciate that. Thank you for the follow, Zebington. So opponent went with the aggressive force of will, which I've seen sometimes, especially not as bad when the person's casting visionary, obviously. I do not know what our opponent is on. I would assume some kind of combo deck based on the way they're fetching right now. Okay, it looks like Doomsday. The good thing and bad thing, I guess, about this matchup is Show and Tell, interesting. Hmm. All right, we'll do that. See what we see. Reclaimer. All right, I think we take the Reclaimer because we want to just try to glimpse next turn. Yeah, I actually brought that up to Curran recently and he knew I was just gonna do it too, but because he talks to Inigo, I know. I do think we have broken through in the Delver matchup for what it's worth lately, uh, because there was a point a few months ago where I felt like, I mean, I don't want to embarrass anybody or whatnot, but I felt like the Delver, the I felt like the elf community was really struggling in the Delver matchup, and I would say since then the win rate has rebounded, at least amongst people I follow, and I think there have been a few reasons for that. I think one, the removal fleet has gotten a lot better, and we've been slow to adapt, admittedly, because I think that tends to happen when you have a smaller player base. So we were slow to adapt with the Ragavan ban, and we didn't realize Assassin's Trophy was kind of no longer cutting it, right? Like when they have the double Delver or double DRC starts, and there's 8 of them, not really where you want to be. Um, okay, I think we have to play Glimpse here. Not really where you want to be in terms of they're gonna force it, like no doubt. Yeah. And I think we play this, see what they do. I don't think we play the Cradle for what it's worth. I don't think there's any reason to. What is pass? Also slow to adapt because Elves doesn't have a bit more. Yeah, no, I don't even think that's the case, Sadra. Maybe for the other build, the Nettle Sentinel build, but I think we just have fewer pilots, right? I think that's a big deal. I think also some of the best minds are all playing multiple formats, and they don't have time to like figure out elves, and whereas Delver is more plug and play, so to speak. That might be true. I mean, I don't personally find that to be the. Actually, that's somewhat true. I think because there is a huge target. I feel right now, Giant Helm on the artifact deck specifically. Namely, ooh, what the heck is going on? I do feel there's a big okay, I think we have to bog here, right? Like it's kind of annoying. Definitely was not expecting that. I think this is Joe Fisher, or maybe not. I don't know. It feels like a Joe Fisher deck. Interesting. I feel like we have no choice but to go for it here, right? Like, if they have it, they have it. Kind of interesting. Okay, so they are playing it safe, so they will just die, right? Um, see, they force this. Um, I think we. I don't think the two. Well, the five could matter. So yeah, I think we'll do this. We'll play. We'll play the cradle. We're gonna pitch, and then grow the other one, just so we can get extra damage in, right? Actually, it's Joe L. Maybe it's. Hey Yoko, how's it going? Yeah, I think maybe so. Going back to Jide comment about less cyborg hate, I think that's probably possible. I feel like a lot of the players still have like two end of festivities or so in the sideboard, but not all do. I guess. I definitely do think the artifact decks are seeing more targeting right now because of meltdown and whatnot. We just need one top deck here. Shepherd wins the game. Green Sun does not because of force. I do think Elves is favored. I do think partially also why the Delver win rate is typical. I think I saw in the challenges or something like Delver's like I think Elves like 30% or something against Delver at one point. I do think that's partially also because. All right, we're just concede here. Three, yeah. I also think that's partially because I think on average the Delver player is better than the Elf player. If I'm, and that's just being brutally honest. Like I don't think people factor that in. That like multi-format grinders tend to play Delver, and that's the reason why I think the win rate is propped up too. Just because like you don't have to worry about like weird things like bouncing visionaries or like resolving doomsday piles and whatnot. All right, so I think we just want the. Yeah, Delver's just also way easier, right? Like they're just that. I think we saw that they're on like show and tell. I don't think we want a glimpse. Like they're like an entomb deck as well. I think we just board as if they're reanimator, right? one second. I will answer what chat. I do think Elves tends to perform better at the beginning and end of meta cycle before they figured out how to play against our pro, and then that I don't. I can see some argument to that. I actually feel like Delver benefits the most from something like a Modern Horizons 2, just because they have more players working on the deck, right? Like even us, look how long it took for us to even play Endurance because I just couldn't figure out how to do it for a long time, right? Like, what am I cutting for Endurance? The obvious guess would be the ley lines, but that ended up not being what it was. I ended up cutting fair cards for Endurance, and I don't think I make that. I don't think it's easy to make that leap when it's just like one or two people working on the deck, so to speak, right? And like I said, yeah, like I think because Delver has more very strong pilots working on the deck, uh, like I said, they their final form is reached I think very early, and I think they have a huge advantage when something like Modern Horizons 2, where like multiple format defining cards get printed, right? And Elves does not. Let's just be real, right? Uh, we don't have the players who are working on the deck as much. Keep and obviously we lose a show and tell here, but I don't think we can play around it. And like I said, even me, like I probably played this version more than anybody else. Um, it took months before I figured out how to. And I actually thought endurance was bad, to be honest, in the deck initially because I couldn't get it to work. It felt like it was just a bad ley line, and lo and behold, you don't replace ley line right that way, right? You place fair cards. So I actually cut removal. Thank you for the follow, Shadow of Murloc. I think here is like it. Elf seems pretty tight though. What do you mean by that specifically? I think we'll go Cradle here. We'll play the Shepherd. I want to have two Endurances in case they go for it twice. Um, so one time with a pitch and the second time with hardcast. Yeah, so like again, another thing I want to emphasize is let's just say you have 10x more let's just say you have 10x more players. It's not even I don't know the numbers, but let's just say you have 10x more Delver players compared to Elf players. The difference is not really also I want to emphasize 10x. It's more like 100x because it's exponential growth, right? That also makes it harder, in my opinion. I think that's what you're getting at. Okay, Lasik. I think that's what you're getting at, but yeah, I do think that makes it even harder for whatever that's worth. I think we can play the Visager probably right now and just pass turn. They might seize us here. Who knows? So we actually have lethal on board um, because of the endurance. I wanted to play. Oh, well, yeah. I wanted to be able to pitch just in case they went for it, and then I think here they have to have a removal, so they're just dead, right? can't stop it either. Uh, that's exactly 19. Yeah. So yeah, that's I guess my 2 cents, right? It's even with 10x players, it doesn't mean you arrive 10x faster. It's actually like 100 times faster because of the exponential. Like the more people working on it, the faster you arrive at the solution. It's kind of hard to explain that, but thank you, dudes. I am definitely well. I'm getting a little worked up, I guess, over this, not having enough pilots, so to speak, conversation. But I think we're doing okay, right? We're 3-1 at the moment, so you can't complain. And our loss, I forget what it was. Oh, it was to our good friend Romario. So again, no harm done. Also, love having you here, member of the Sylvan Syndicate, Representative Dukes. Um, I believe we run it back with this list. Well, I mean this 75, 60, I should say. This configuration. I would say the most important printing for elves, and it took us a while to incorporate, is probably endurance in terms of like the last year. And the reason being is because it addresses Delver, Uro, all those matchups. Plus, it is combo 8. It is just an absurd card for us. Exactly, Sadra. It's just like exponential, but yeah, it's kind of like I mean, I hate to use this example, so I apologize, but it's kind of like why we had the pandemic in the first place, right? The more people who catch it, the more it spreads. Again, I apologize for that kind of crude example, but off the top of my head, what jumps to mind, right? Obviously, here we just hope we don't get like blown out by a Veil Summer. But Seiju is definitely up there too, for sure. I think here. Oh, this is awkward because I want to go next turn. Burst Lord into Reclaimer. Obviously, we can't not take the. I feel like we take the second endurance. If they want to force our thing, they can. I think. I don't think we take the Shepherd. It like screws up with our thing next turn. All right, we just clench for a second, hope we don't get blown out by Veil of Summer. That's okay. Yoko, there's I will almost never play Reclaimer over a Seize. Like you can just die on the next turn if you don't Seize. Right? I don't want to die with Thoughtseize in my hand. But I don't know. I come from the school of thought. If I have the Seize, I'm probably fine in turn one. There are some like minor exceptions. Like one being if you're on the play in the mirror, then I probably won't. I mean, there's a couple of things, right? Like one, they can have double brainstorms. There's just like a lot of reasons to lead with C's, in my opinion. Um, what do we even care about here? They can entomb, exhume, or they can show and tell. So if they show and tell here, I'm a little bit scared of show and tell into Archon, right? But then they would have to force, and then that would also mean that they would go for the exhume line. Let's see. If they show in the Archon, Archon. Well, actually, if they kept the show and tell on top, we have a second seize. They gave us the Entomb and the Exhume though, which is interesting. Yes, I'm doing the work for them here. If I put the Archon in, right, and then they Exhume, I don't love that. But they show and tell, we're kind of screwed potentially. I think I take the. I feel like I take the. Ooh, this is tough. If they Entomb, I think I take the Force. Yeah, let's take the Force. I feel like I want them to go for it, the reanimation spell right here. I don't want to do their dirty work for them and go down a card, right? So they can Exhume. And we well, the nice thing is we do have a follow up seize. So if they have the show and tell here, what's going on here? Sure. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better, I guess. I'm almost certain my next line is going to be Ranger, Reclaimer, Seize. Let's do it this way. Mm, they didn't shuffle. I think we take the. If we take the Archon here, they're gonna Exhume, and then they have the Entomb still. I think the only card we're afraid of here is the. Actually, I should not have taken the Force in hindsight. That's a big regret now. This is lead one. I should have taken the the Entomb, but then the Archon first, and then if they go for it, we Endurance. They can needle us obviously here, but that's a different story. The nice thing is we do get the Endurance back, which is like relevant. Oh, we screwed up. I like didn't think about it. The show and tell is really messing with our brain here, but sure. Yeah, I screwed up. I didn't even think about this interaction. We like punted pretty badly. I don't think we have an out. It would have been Gris. That was a. They have an entomb that I like brain farted on. Yeah, through this game. Not happy with myself. So the misplay was just like our opponent. Oh, our opponent didn't even realize it. Jesus Christ! They just texted me or they IM'd me. Why discard the Archon for me and not pitch the cast the endurance I saw? So they didn't even realize they could just like entomb in response. So that's something to learn, I guess. But we like screwed up. I'll go ahead and take a. I'll go ahead and take a quick break. But I think if we didn't screw up there. No, I didn't explain it to them. I'm gonna use the restroom. All right, so yeah, that's on me. I threw the game really on turn one. Like, if I take any other card besides the force, we probably win. I think we'll run it back. I definitely think we should have won this match 5, but that's on me. Our opponent even gave us an out. It doesn't seem like they know they can respond with Entomb, but we gave them the benefit of the doubt that they did. Something to learn though. Uh, hey Olo. I think the best thing to learn, in my opinion, there's two things. I think the best thing to learn, the first thing you should do is probably just watch some videos, just so you like learn some of the play patterns associated with the deck and like certain matchups. And then the second thing is just reps. Honestly, I don't. I think it helps to have a few reps, well not rep, to see the deck in action first. I think this is a mole. This is a lot better. So we'll try to redeem ourselves here. Kind of an embarrassing throw there, but I mean it happens. Yeah, like I said, I think if we take anything but the force, we probably win. Yeah, I would agree with that, Sadra. Like, I mean, in a lot of ways, this is like green soup, right? So Oloro, I think I mentioned this to a few people. I think if you played the other version before, that's almost like negative, because you may be tempted to take certain lines that I think are not advised. Is probably the best word I can explain it. Because what I've seen a lot is people will tunnel vision into the combo. And not take the best line, right? They take the combo line, which in that version tends to be the best line, but is often not in this, right? Like this is much more a control deck, so to speak, or combo control, right? Like you wait till the last minute until combo, and it's like it plays out a lot like Ant. Actually, it's like the creature version of Ant. All right. Oof. I think we fire it now because we need to hit land drops. It's not how that works. Uh, I guess that's one way to say it. Legacy Council. Our opponent letting us in the game there with the force on the card. I don't like to like make fun of players. Like they're obviously Elves is I would say Elves is more rare deck, especially this version. And sometimes you just don't know the interaction, right? Like obviously our hand is just garbage here at the moment, but so our opponent just said they normally don't play blue decks, so that explains a lot, right? It looks like it's an Earl coming, maybe. Sure. We actually don't care about the Shepherd right now. It doesn't make mana, and we just our hand is just garbage. I think here we're gonna go. Oops. I think here we're gonna go ahead and play the one. Sorry. So starting with the Queen version and then I don't think so, Oloro. I would not advise for that actually. The reason being is I think if you play the other version, you're gonna have a hard time actually playing this version, and the reasoning is they play out kind of differently. Yeah, so like Sadra said, I know people have suggested that. I actually think it's the opposite, based on just the sample size and my own experiences with the decks. I think we take the Waterwood. Like again, the Shepherd's not particularly great here, right? Not even too, in my opinion, because like you losing a land drop essentially every turn is pretty bad in my opinion. So presumably they could just like go off here. They would need a mana sink, but we'll see. I think a little bit of a sketch play by our opponent here to leave the food chain naked, right? I think that's also the case, Sadra. You have to be a lot tighter with this version, whereas the other one you can just like kind of play spells at random during the glimpse chain. It doesn't matter. Ooh, our opponent is not gonna like what's gonna happen. Uh, they could, in theory, have a Ice Fang, and I don't want to lose to that. Two. I think we'll play it safe and just play this as a one drop. There's no need to do it now. I've stalled a few moments glimpse picking up vision and not being able to cast a third elf. Yeah, so that's the thing, right? Like you need to be really, really intimately familiar with sequencing to glimpse with this version, in my opinion. Um, I feel like we don't want to waste mana, so I'm just gonna go ahead and preemptively kill the food chain here. Um, I think we do it like this now. If they have Ice Fang, they can trade with the Arbor if they want. We have to put pressure. So they have another one, to quote the infamous DJ Khaled. Sure. One short. So four, three, four, five, six, seven. Ugh, punish for the morph here. Three. I think we just play it out. Three, four, five, six, seven. Yeah, we're punished here for the. I think Oloro, if I were you, yeah. I mean, to keep it short. Sure. to keep it short, I think if I were you, if you want to learn this version, I would just play straight and just like not worry. Okay, that's good. This luckily pays for itself, so we have more attackers now. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We honestly got lucky. Our opponent just flooded out, right? Like, I just call it how I see it. Alright, let's bring in my sideboard map on the side. Pun not intended. Allurin, looks like we bored out Heritage Druids because it's not that combo-y, the opponent. We bored out the Collector. They have the Ballista, but I don't think I'm playing around that. Oops, wrong one. I mean to go the other way. I don't think we want the Gris. The Bog. And then we bring in the Thought Seizers and then the Force of Vigors. What else is coming in? Progenitus. Yeah, that seems reasonable enough. We're missing something. Let's see. Crop. I don't think I want that. Trap. Nope. Probably leave the. Actually, I don't board out the Gris. That's what that's different. There it is for sure. Yeah, I definitely threw kind of mad at myself. Like I said, in the previous game, we probably win that match if I just took any other line but the line I took. This is a mold to 5 already. This is better, I guess. Keep. I think it's actually the glimpse. We don't have mana for a while. And I'm gonna lead with Seize. Please don't veil me. That's like. Yeah. That's definitely what happened there. Connor. I actually think the play here is the Ponder. I don't really care about their swords. We're gonna run out like the elves that we don't care about, and they can just swords that for all they want. And we rarely care about force. It's why I always say the least important one here is the druid, and then I would say the least important one here is well they're gonna swords both, so it's just what we care about, right? And I think given that we have let's go with the given that we have the crate already, I think this is the reclaimer. This is gonna be a slugfest now. Um, like we want to draw some visionaries, so that's why I kept the Wirewood. And they can have the heritage if they want. I don't. Looks like they're not gonna take it. That's pretty good. Pretty good in my opinion. I actually, ever since started playing Shriekmaw, have not dropped a game. Oh, sorry, a match. I've dropped a game, I think, but we know they have the other swords. All right, so they force. That's fine. They probably swords the Wirewood. Might as well just do that already right now. Some interesting plays from our opponent here. Definitely would have swords already. I think so too. I just think like the reason why, I mean, obviously it's not completely true, but I think a big reason why they they do well is because a lot of good players just tend to play it, as opposed to what is it called? Like I think just think they have stronger pilots, right? Overall, obviously the deck is good too, but I don't think it's like unbeatable. So they have infinite mana now, if they want it. Alright, run out the arbor. It's a little bit awkward here. We know they have the swords. For some reason, they're like holding onto the swords, which is like different than a lot of players. Sure. This is only creature mana, right? Yeah. Wow, actually, that's quite the draw. Just so we don't lose right now. Oh, I screwed up. They can sack it to the thing. Oh, they didn't realize it. Wow. Okay. So we both screwed up. They should sack it to the food chain so they can cast it again. I realized it right when I untabbed, but what can you do, right? The awkward part, they still have a sword for some reason they're holding. It's like very awkward for us. So that is an interaction I need to remember. Like they can just do that, and it's kind of bad for us. Thank you. Another one? Ugh. Okay, that's really bad. They're gonna get rid of the grist, I think. We're gonna do this here and force their hand. See if they kill it or not. It's extremely greedy for them not to. But I guess not. Very strange line from our opponent, right? Because they can't combo now. Now they played the ballista. Sure, I think we're okay with that. They like tap out more or less. You don't want to block, in my opinion. Okay, they targeted the grist for some reason. Plus I have another force. Okay. The bad part is now they can cast the Miss Hollow, but we've like screwed this up. I could have played better this game. So could they, to be fair. Sure. Now it's lethal if we just draw a natural order. Oh, I screwed up. I should have done something differently. I'll do it this way. Wow, what a draw. Our opponent is not paying attention. They should hit the Visionary. Thank you for the follow, Ventuza. For sure, yeah, it's a super sweet deck. Do we do anything here? I think we bash with these two and see what they do. I'm probably just gonna play the Shepherd. Like, there's really no reason. I should have done it pre-fit. I think the game is likely over. We'll see. I screwed up. I should again I should have played out the Shepherd there, but it doesn't matter. Actually, it's better that I don't, right? Because the Wirewood can just um, the shields were down, right, so to speak. Sure. Here they have to block that. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 exactly. Yeah, it's lethal. Our our opponent punted when they didn't realize they're supposed to sack their exile their Miss Hollow in response. But to be fair, we punted first by going for that to kill it in the first place, right? Let's see if they realized it here. Probably not still, right? That's 5, 6, 7. Okay, they realized it, but it's not. It's too late. It did. Before. Hey, Mike, how's it going? Always fun to have our resident storm expert come back here, right? Here are my socials again. Actually, I want to shout out one thing real quick while this is like queuing up. Uh, Twitch subscriptions also get you access to my monthly metagame. Uh, Actually, I'll pull that up right now. I recently. Where is it? Here's the most recent one that I wrote, but like if you have a Twitch subscription, you can have access to the most recent one I sent out. Just let me know, I guess, or if I see you here with a subscription. Keep Alpha Blade, notably, is one of the first lists I saw to remove the Queen Rangers from the list. Now, notably, they played the Reclaimers and the Nettles side by side. I saw that first in this list from Alpha Blade, and also from the excuse me from the Japanese list. They played the two cards side by side and cut the Queen Rangers, and then after I saw the Japanese list do it, I got the idea. Well, if it's good enough for them, it should be good enough for us. And lo and behold, they haven't really missed them, right? I also got that idea originally from Jax, but I just never took him up on that offer until I saw the Japanese people do it. Elemental. So it's a mirror, right? Because we play Shriek mods too. Notably here, we're gonna ramp with Reclaimer. Don't know what our opponent is doing. Why do they have an elemental name with Cavern and then X? Oh my god! So it's like some kind of post variant with. Hey, how's it going, Mana Traders? Actually, Mana Traders, I want to potentially talk with you after or during about potential sponsorship if interested. Obviously, I would, uh, have the Mana Traders symbol and advertising on my stream. And in what I would like to do actually is uh, play different decks, right? And then having a rental account would help with that, just to diversify the stream. But hopefully that if that's of interest to you. Uh, oh, thank you for the donation. Wow, appreciate it. That is a very generous donation. So I want to definitely thank Mana Traders. Also, I will go ahead and if you contact me during Discord or whatnot, I can also send you my uh, what is it called? Send my my monthly metagame update, right? I think here we want a Once Upon a Time and see what we see. The hoof here is pretty good. And then I think we want to just play the Gris and plus. But big ups to Mana Traders. I appreciate the donation. That's very generous. Sure. So with all the needles come down, I guess that's pretty stock for that build. No, actually, Sadra, I want to actually emphasize this. On paper, I actually don't play elves all that much because it's just what I own on. Ooh, Seiju, okay. It just happens to be what I own on Moto, but I own like a lot of other decks on paper. My preferred deck to play actually on paper, especially for like weekly events, is DNT. Believe it or not. Although my list is like super outdated. So I think here we're just gonna go ahead and fetch, and then plus. And then bash with all. I don't think they have anything that can kill us here, but or stop what we're doing. But you never know. It's a sweet deck if you like a lot of micro interactions. It's like the control version of like the Nettle Sentinel version, I guess. If that makes sense. Like there's just a lot of like nice synergies that go on. And believe it or not, the reason why I picked that deck initially was because of Mungar and Corridor. Unfortunately, that card is no longer good enough, but That is the reason why I originally picked up the deck. All right. What's interesting is we didn't see any green, and I just wonder if, what did we see? We saw two posts. We saw a couple needles. I don't know about Jatan Grunt, but yeah, I definitely love the Mangara, Caracas, Aether Vial kind of like synergy before. Um, yeah, I played at a time where like I think like some people play with like Wingmare, Rin Wingmare. If that makes sense. They disconnected. Interesting. I think we. It feels like they're on the colorless version with because of map. What did they play turn one? Cavern of Souls. Yeah, I think we want to go with Force. Um, Crop is good. I don't because they're on the colorless version. I actually don't like the Shriek Maws. And then I don't think Bog does anything against them, nor does Endurance. Grist could be relevant. Like it's a tutor target for removal if nothing else. Um, I think we just board out maybe one Visionary. Painter would make me want to get cities, and that's money. Yeah. Other decks I like to play on paper. I'm not great at it, but I do own Ant. Um, Cyrus once visited our LGS or visited me and Max Gilmore and borrowed my Ant deck actually, kind of recently, actually, a few months ago, I want to say, and went undefeated at our LGS with it. I didn't play that day just because I was hanging out, but shout out to Cyrus. I think here we're gonna want to just fetch for deck thinning purposes and just a ramp. Yeah, TEG. I think shout out to Tony Scapone. Well, I think is one of the best, or not maybe not the best decks, but one of the most underplayed decks, considering like how ridiculously powerful it is. Um, do we thin here? Probably. Ever? That's a big statement. I'm not disagreeing with it, but that is a big statement. He's definitely. Don't you need two hoofs or another finish for an NO? I don't think so. Only because Collector Oof is like a bomb in a lot of matchups. Let's see. How do we want to do this? I think we want to play the Reclaimer. And then now we have Grist too, right? So NO, if you draw the hoof, still has a few other targets that are like decent. Obviously, like you have to keep in mind, Magic history is over 20 some years or whatever it is, 30 years almost. So I'm sure there's a lot of good ones. But I know there was a time where Cyrus like was unbeatable, and that was like right before the pandemic actually. Did we keep in the collector? Oof. I feel like we did. Yes, so that's good. The question here it becomes like, do we care about the map? I feel like we want to race and like kill them before it matters. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go for the win. Instead of the playing scared line, so to speak, right? I'm gonna get the Heritage Druid and then do it this way. I don't think it's an accident they left that as well. So we do have a kill next turn, but we do because I took the more aggressive line. Well, do we definitely attack with that, and I think that's probably it actually. And you'll see why. I think I want Cradle next turn. Sure. So they don't have the crops. They're gonna play that. That's actually good for us. Thank you, Mr. Lee, for the raid. So this makes it easy for us now, right? Naka we can beat. Chasm is fine. They're like down a land. Thank you for the raid again, Mr. Lee. Oh, for sure. I appreciate that. And here we're just gonna like dig for a bunch of cards and at minimum kill this reclaimer. That's otherwise would be a thorn in our side. The one card to watch out for here is Mindbreak Trap. That is a card that they sometimes play. Um, all right. Oop, almost screwed that up. I want a glimpse a second time here. Sometimes you have to kill your own darling. I know Reclaimer. For sure. So notably here, we're digging for the oops. We're digging for the Boseiju. I don't want to do that. We have two glimpses going. I think. Actually, cancel. I think we can actually realistically just bounce like a Heritage Druid and just like be mana efficient. Obviously, we have like a million mana right now. Gotta be careful not to draw ourselves. I don't think that's gonna happen, but like it's a thing. Yeah, I just think that card is like awful against us now. I don't think we need another glimpse. We're just gonna. It's all the way at the bottom, I guess. Where is our Boseiju? Awkward to draw the hoof, to be honest. And I'll tell you why. Okay, well, once here we'll dig five. It's five deep. We'll see if the hoof resolves here. And then now we can just Boseiju the chasm, right? It was a little awkward that it was all the way at the bottom, but I don't think it mattered here. It didn't seem like they had trap in their hand, and even if they did, we just killed them next turn. Um, the only way they beat that, I think, is like if they like have Ramanat like pull back the chasm or something like that. Mono green control for sure. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Yeah, I think the first Boseiju, excuse me, the first Boseiju is like really useful because it means you can just glimpse your deck now, like we did there, and just um, win through these like weird locks that people try to do against us traditionally with like Moat or Chasm. For sure. So Mike picked up on what I was hinting at. Like the way I was the way I was thinking right now was we just draw into the Boseiju soon enough, and we had like a million mana. All we needed to do was draw the Boseiju, and then we natural order. They have to trap, and then we play again because we had like multiple win conditions at that point. Obviously, we don't beat two traps, but I, I mean, I'm assuming they're not gonna have like multiple traps in their hand. I mean, and even then, we could probably still beat it just by like, drawing more natural or more greens on. So I think here we're really like 1-0. I felt like our first opponent didn't really know the matchup and like also drew kind of poorly against us. Mode of 5 from our literally Luxac opponent. Mode of 4 scares me. It likely means they're either on Moon Stompy or combo of the Type 1 variety. It's like counterintuitive, right? Usually you're in a good spot when your opponent has to mulligan 2 3 times, but like with elves and other non-blue decks or non-chalice decks, you really don't want to see that because it's probably a chalice deck or probably like a turn one combo deck. I will on the topic of the mana traders donation. I think I haven't announced this yet, but I think the next step for me is one of my monitors is kind of old, so I might use that to upgrade towards a better stream too. Right? I need to consult with Inigo what he thinks would be the best would be the best plan course of action, so to speak. Yeah, especially post London, you're right for sure. But I think that is one thing I might try to upgrade. Right, either the monitor I have and or the speaker. Right. Oh, I thought I did this already. Yeah, just a bad Goblin's hand is not where you want to be if you're my opponent, right? Here I think we just play the Reclaimer, right? Like we have a couple more draws before, two more draws before we, are missing land flip, so to speak. But especially with the Visionaries, I cannot stress enough how valuable Inigo has been to help me. I definitely would not be one capable enough to do this and motivated enough to figure out some of this technical stuff out for me, despite being an engineer. Everything that is associated, I would say, with my stream is more or less the product of Inigo. So shout out to Inigo. I think here we're gonna. Okay, so our opponent just like tapped out fully. I don't blame them, I guess. Uh, Here there's no reason to glimpse because it's just gonna draw like at most 2 cards. So we can just actually, for sure. So I think what we can do is we can only play the Visionary and see. That's pretty good. I'm a little bit nervous. They have something crazy like a Chain Whirler. So I normally say don't say this, but I'm gonna play scared and then pass. Only because I feel like the matchup is or the game one is already locked up. Right? There's no need to take these risky plays when your opponent is mode 4. Right? Of course we draw it there because why not? Okay, that changes my line a little bit. I think what I'm gonna do is just glimpse and just try to draw into more. I want to draw into a second cradle. Is I guess the long story short. Also, one thing that gets brought up a lot from people who don't know or not as familiar with this version is the misconception that this deck can't draw up the whole deck. That is not quite accurate. It's harder, but if you don't tap your cradle, you actually can do it because every anybody who's played Elves for a while will know this. Every three that you tap to Heritage adds three to the cradle without actually spending the mana. Isn't good? Isn't good just lethal here? I mean they could have a removal spell, but yeah, we could go Burst Lord into Hoof. Uh, let's see, how much mana do we have? We can have we can do a lot more. I think. So here, yeah. So we're just developing up to hoof mana, so to speak. Uh, we have 7, 10 mana. So we could even once if we really wanted to. I feel like probably not. Thank you for the follow. It's Niv himself, Dr. Trunks. So gotta appreciate that. We will go ahead and actually just not waste anybody's time and just like go ahead and hard cast the hoof here. It doesn't matter. I guess we'll just attack now. I hate to leave mana floating, but it's like a million damage. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly, Niv. I know. Actually, I meant to message you privately, and I just like slipped my mind. For those who don't know, Niv is a doctor, and especially in the time of the pandemic, the last 2.5 years, I want to just say personal thanks from me. So obviously this applies to all doctors, but then uh, Niv, what's it called, is in our stream right now and is a Magic player, so easier access, I guess, to say thanks. But that is just personal from me. So here we definitely want the Progenitus. The crop rotation I think is good. We have a lot of dead cards in these like tribal mirrors, so to speak. I don't really like Endurance. I don't really like Gris. They tend to be a little bit slow. I think the Shriekmaw has like relevant text against our opponent, but not great. There's like random things like Passion monsters that we have to kill. Actually, the land might be like relevant too. Debating how I want to sideboard here. Obviously, I don't love the Shriekmaw, so maybe not. I think I like the extra land for sure, and also deals with the Passion Mons. We can actually just like not board in the Shriekmaw and not have to worry about Wasteland. I think I like that better. According to my sideboard map, yeah, I don't bring in the Shriekmaw. So for those of you who are tuning in from one Mr. Lee earlier, or just right now, like Niv, we went 3-2 in our first league. I probably should have won that last match for the first league, but I like completely punted against our like hybrid show and tell reanimator player because I like took the absolute only card I couldn't take or couldn't afford to take with the Thoughtseize on turn 1 because I just didn't think it through, and I think we win otherwise. And our other loss was round 1 to Romario, friend of the program, who was playing Paradigm Shift. I think we need a mulligan, no lands. This is kind of an ideal hand here, I think. And we're going to toss the Caracas back because we're going to play to the upside of the deck. Thank you for the post here, Young Dingo. Prospector, okay. So the main game plan against goblins, especially post board when there's more interaction, in my opinion, is to get a quick Progenitus. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna jinx ourselves, but we know what can happen with that card. And we'll try not to play into Pyrokinesis, right? That's probably the scariest card from them, other than maybe Chain Whirler. We're not going to block if they attack here. Yeah. Back to the Ragavan days, even, like, you don't really want to trade your creatures for theirs because our creatures are worth more to ours because of synergy and things like that, right? I think here there is a chance. Okay, we could potentially just walk into a Pyrokinesis here, but we'll. Actually, I should have sequenced it the other way. So this is a tell that I'm going for the Progenitus, right? They might Pyrokinesis here and kill 2 for 2, but I don't. This is the magic number 4 mana, right? Like I don't unless you have Mindbreak Trap in your hand. I think if you have Pyrokinesis, you should not get greedy here, and it feels like they're thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, it's it's a tell, but I feel like we have to go for it because the shields are down, and we don't, and they could have Wasteland, right? So here we go. Heads up play from our opponent, but I think it was definitely telegraphed. And we just replay the Reclaimer. That's not a big deal. So actually, that kind of worked out in our favor because they had to pitch the Matron. They can blow up our Reclaimer here, which is probably recommended, but then they have to lose 2 creatures. But the minute this becomes a 3/4, it's a problem. Interesting line that they took. Unless I'm missing something, the block on the Prospector is kind of free. Unless I'm missing something. Okay, so they're gonna like 2 for 1 kill the Reclaimer. If they were planning on doing that anyways, then it makes sense, and they get the extra 2 damage. Interesting. Okay, so I'm not sure I would have taken that line if I were my opponent, only because historically goblins have had a hard time dealing with the Tarmogoyf, and that's what we're headed towards right now. I think we just play that. We could play around a Wasteland by keeping the Reclaimer up. Or we can just draw a card with the Visionary. I feel like we want to do that. And just like represent maybe lethal next turn. Obviously, if they Wasteland us here, I think we're okay with that still. Oops, cancel. And we don't have extra mana, so we'll pass. I don't think we want to attack. We want to, if need be, deal with the Power Driver, right? Is Gen Pop still a thing? I think at most like a 1-of Sagra. Sure. So, alright, they tapped out, so that's like really good for us because now we don't have to play around anything, right? Like we have full information. One of the scariest lines to take is when you have to go for natural order and they could have pyrokinesis, right? Like, especially if they know where your choke points are, it's quite scary. They usually will not wait because it's not advantageous to, especially with Cradle factoring in. Excuse me. But it is a thing. Munitions expert. So I'm just gonna F6 here, right? Like, there's no need. The scariest line is drawing project for sure, for sure. I think here what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna green sun for a another creature. I guess it doesn't matter. Reclaimer, and then oops. Ooh, actually, this is a sweet line. We're gonna untap and then get the pitch, right? This is the extra damage. Yeah. So another thing we could have done too was if we didn't use our burn our second arbor already, we could, and we didn't draw the green sun. We could reclaim her for an arbor, and then that's like extra damage as well. That comes up. That line actually comes up a decent amount, and I don't think people are aware of that line because it's like not very intuitive. But if you've used cradle, reclaimer with cradle enough, hopefully it becomes second nature after a while. The low key thing is like I've for a long time flirted with the idea of playing Gaia Reach Sanitarium as just like a value target for Reclaimer, with the hopes that you can one day live the dream of like drawing a card plus put a Progenitus back in your deck, or even better if you running the blue splash with Leo Bolt, right? You can even discard them on upkeep or whatever. So our opponent hasn't conceded. So unless they are counting the math or you know got sidetracked with something, it's kind of strange. Once this match is over, I will take a quick restroom break to refill my water here, kind of keep hydrated, and then I'll be back in like a minute using the restroom as well. Yeah, very strange. Our opponent hasn't conceded. My only explanation would be maybe they got sidetracked with something and had to step away. I think while we wait, in the interest of time, since okay, there's the concession. I was just gonna walk away from the screen for a minute because potentially they were away, right? But I will go ahead and bring up my deck that I'm running for tonight. So far, perfect league. So far, I'll be knock on wood. Don't want to jinx myself. But here's the list I'm currently running, trying tonight. Obviously, I dislike this card, but okay, that was an unintended pun because I usually run duress. But I wanted to play another haymaker and see how that worked out. So far, not relevant. I guess we haven't run into the right matchups. But okay, I'll be back in 1 minute after getting some water and taking a quick restroom break. All right, I am back. Oops, there's the water right there on the table. Okay, I will link the sanitarium card that I was referring to. Hopefully it pops up. There you go. So both it happens to both players, so it's symmetrical. You can use it with Leovold, which I think happens in like EDH a lot. Obviously, you can put your Progenitus. You can like do it for value if you have like extra lands, which our deck plays a higher count. Obviously, you can put the Progenitus back, like we mentioned. Another thing is, while we have Niv here, if he's still around, there are a lot of symmetries between the way this deck is constructed and what a lot of our resident Tundra players like to play. Yeah, I don't know if it's good. Typically, you don't. Your tutor targets, you want to be able to draw them and not be upset when they're bad, right? And I think one of the issues with that card is probably going to be bad when we draw it. But the way the deck is built is kind of similar, right? You have your consistency tools, your anti-combo tools. So in a lot of ways, it's like a green soup deck. Obviously, I know Niv here, Dr. Trunks, is a big Uro fan from Twitter. So maybe one day we will see Trunks on. For sure. I'm glad you could hang out for a little bit. But one day maybe we will see him. Give him mod access here. Uh, Maybe one day we will see him on a elf deck, right? Representing the all the draw that we can do. Here, Moto 5 essentially already with the 5 lands, so mulligan. Oof. Alright, Moto 5, no lands. I feel like we have to keep this hand, even though it is not great. So, we are on the ropes here, Moto 5. Gotta stay hydrated. And we shall see if this Visionary Glimpse can get us back in the game. I do not know what my opponent is playing. It looks like there's a goldfish there. Looks like they're playing a Hull Breacher like combo-ish deck. Okay, now I kind of wish I kept that Collector Oof, right? But c'est la vie. It might not matter, quite frankly, but we'll see. Yeah, I like I like instant regret now, right? Like we didn't keep that collective. That would have been much more relevant than the glimpse of nature. It's okay. Like this is mostly for instructive purposes, anyways. These streams, so I think in the dark, I. Oh, okay, no worries. So my opponent just said sorry for the lag. Um, it was on the stream in the background, so they obviously know what we're on, and I mean we could still die. It doesn't really matter, right? It's not. So I think they're gonna have the Hull Breacher here. And there's just nothing we can do about it. We just have to hope. It's most likely gonna be a Hull Breacher. Um, yeah. So there it is. Obviously, we could have played the Collective, but if they have a Days Undoing, it just doesn't even matter, right? Yeah, for sure, Sadra. Yeah, I despise playing against this deck, personally, because I one want to draw cards with my Visionary and my Glimpse. Um, Also, for me, I don't mind losing to combo, but there's something really painful about being mind twisted. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, looks like this is the Days Undoing. Okay, interesting. I did not expect that for sure. I thought they were on the what is it called? I guess is this yeah, I guess this is in their list, right? The Thought Lash. Yeah, I thought it was the Undoing deck, but I guess it's not. Excuse me. All right. I think we are gonna go ahead and preemptively fetch here, so our once is a little bit better. And then we're just gonna play Reclaimer and hope it gets there. Probably not, to be honest. Like I don't know. Actually, what do we even see? I need to. We might just be dead regardless, to be honest. Yeah, I would imagine we're just dead here. So I had to check again. Like, did we? Maybe I clicked that through that too quickly. I wonder if we saw a Boseiju. Anybody know? Or willing to check quickly if we saw a Boseiju on that Once Upon a Time? Because I did not look carefully. I mean, now we're officially dead, right? Like they can just they've seen 9 cards. Yeah, I don't like that too, Connor. So they have a kill here. I'll just concede. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt that they know how their deck works. Well, they should have activated this. Well, I guess you can do it the other way, right? Activate this, retain priority, and then Thought Last. All right. All right. We will board in the discard, and then we will board in the Force of Vigors, because I think that's going to be relevant. I know, right, Mike? For sure, for sure. Yeah, I should have just made him do it. But to be fair, our opponent has like 5-0 with this or whatever. But yeah, I agree. No endurance. I don't think we want to bog them or collector oop them. I feel like. I wonder if they have North set. Probably, I would guess. I don't know. I feel like the high roll of glimpse is probably too high not to play. Pun not intended. So we'll just board like this. I'd be curious what that Once Upon a Time saw though, because nope, that's not what we want. No ramp, so that means the glimpse is actually kind of dead for a while. I think we're all in here on the natural order, which is not a bad all in plan to be on. Ideally, though, we had a cradle here, right? I've been there too myself, Mike, for sure. I have definitely been there myself. So here we're just gonna go ahead and lead with Bayou in case we draw the C's later on, and then go with. We're essentially all in on natural order here. I don't even know what that card does. I think it's a cage, right? Non-land permanent. Okay, yeah, it's a cage. Well, that's awkward. We might as well, I guess, draw, right? Like, or deck thin, I should say. Well, it's not the worst. Actually, it's not great here. Now that I think about it, it does kill a hull breacher for whatever that's worth. Uh, Double ancient tomb. Well, that has text. This is kind of neat now because even though the grist is not great, it's a 2 mana cage, Lomer Boy. So maybe they have chalice, I don't know. I will pitch this though. Uh, yeah, I think we do it now. Maybe they have a bounce spell. Although if they did have a bounce spell, they should have done it in the stack. Yeah. Is this the kitten variant? I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. I feel like the kitten variant would have more acceleration, but I could be wrong. I I'd have to check also. Like, did we just throw the game one, right? Like, I don't remember what the Once Upon a Time saw. I kind of clicked through it quickly, not thinking through. Excuse me, not thinking things through. Again, yeah, I don't think we want actually the grist here. I feel like this matchup is gonna be about speed. Um, Maybe we just want another. I don't know. I don't. It didn't seem like they were running fast mana, so maybe another symbiote here. A trap? What are the likelihood? What's the likelihood they're gonna walk into a trap? Uh, I feel like this. Well, yeah, I don't think the collective actually. Force of Vigor was pretty clutch there, and maybe clutch here too. We'll see. Could have a turn one chalice. Sure. Just all the Force of Vigors. Yeah, I think it's like quite good in this metagame for sure. Connor, I think they're thinking about forcing. A little bit awkward because they're like an A plus B combo running chalice, so like our Thoughtseize is not great. Okay, so it's like, all right, interesting. They must want to protect something. We just don't know what it is, right? Sure. Sure. I wonder if they can win from here. It had to be Oracle. They don't have double blue, right? It had to be Oracle or Jace, and I think we can actually not kill it yet. So we don't have lethal here, but might have to do it soon. Well, okay, how greedy do I want to be? Let's be greedy. If they have a hull breacher, I'm okay with that. Um, we just pass here, I guess. Ooh, where is the other? Oh, it died. All right. Misplay by, well, not even quite. At least we're gonna get full value off the force of vigor now. Unintentionally, at least. I think we do this now because what ends up happening is we can threaten a lethal Shepherd activation next turn, so we don't have to rely on. We can't Shepherd first high star, like with the Runestone there. If this is a cage. Well, I did not expect to win this matchup. Is that game 3 or 2? I felt like it was game 3, but I could be wrong. Ooh, ouch. All right, so could we do it? We're 4-0. It's funny. Now I don't even want to check this. Yeah, whether we punted on that once upon a time or not. But no worries, high start happens. I make mistakes all the time. The trick is to learn from them and catch them immediately and correct them, right? Like, obviously, nobody's going to play perfect, in my opinion. Thank you for the follow, Dragon Day, Dragon. It was definitely I was definitely thrown off by your deck there. I didn't. I assumed you were on the Turbo Wheels deck and definitely didn't expect what happened game 1. But pretty cool deck overall, I will say. Obviously, for those who don't know, the reason why the 2 mana cage is played is because you get through your own chalice, right? Like, I think at the time of the printing of that card, it was like talked about in the chalice shells. As a Grafdigger's Cage deck, you can cast through chalice. Or let me rephrase, resolve through chalice. You can cast it, but it's gonna get countered. All right, one more, and hopefully we can get that 5-0, right? Like, yes, definitely. I've been real impressed, and then I know Connor here, Lomer Boy, has mentioned Force of Vigor has been really good. I have historically, since Force of Vigor has been printed, I've always liked the card, but I could never justify it because I felt like the combo matchup wasn't where I wanted to be, so it was more of a luxury. But there have been two printings, I would say, um, in the last year that have completely changed how we can build our sideboard. Thank you for the follow. Sorry, subscription, Dragon Day Dragon, and let me know if you want the metagame update that I wrote for July. Just message me on Discord if you want it, and then I will send you the PDF for that for July. That is one of the perks of the subscription here. For anybody interested, I also like from time to time, we just like give sneak peeks of what they look like. Okay, so let's see. Is this L specific or legacy in general? Are you talking about Force of Vigor? I think I was referring more to Elves because the big addition was Endurance, because that meant that we can play a mid-range card that is also doubling as Graveyard Hate. So I think this is a show and tell player, if I remember correctly. Unfortunately, we don't have great hands against them, so I'm just gonna keep most hands. Um, we don't. I mean, we don't know for sure they're not show and tell, but they could or could not be, right? Oh, sure. The metagame update. I can even bring it up actually, but like it talks about the changes in the top 10 most represented decks on MTG Goldfish. But then, in addition to talking about the changes, I also go over the impact to elves. So the impact is more specific to elves, but the changes could be generic for anybody that's interested from a legacy metagame perspective, right? Like if you want to know what the latest tech in blue red or D&T, some of the more popular decks, like instead of having to sift through MTG Goldfish yourself, I curate that already, right? And the impact part you can just ignore if you don't care, or you could read too if you're curious, if you don't play elves. Thank you for the follow, Slump32. I do believe that they are on show and tell, so we'll see. Oh, sorry about that, Dragon Day Dragon. It's gonna be an uphill climb. I definitely wish that Mindbreak Trap here were the duress for sure. If they are on show and tell. Oh, not what I wanted to draw. I apologize, Connor. I definitely know what it's like to lose a 5-0, right? I've lost plenty to Tony Scapone on TEG, and I've lost a lot to before, not so much anymore because I don't think I play Belcher anymore. But my original true name nemesis was what's it called? My original true name nemesis was Ironclaw 2016, right? Playing Belcher. I think I've probably lost more 5-0s to that player than any other player on the entire time I played Moto. Here, like, we need a payoff. Also, if they show and tell Emrakul, like, the Green Sun can represent the difference between a win and a loss in Gris. If they sneak attack, then it's a different problem, right? All right. All right. We can. I mean, they in theory could have spell pierce. So I think we're gonna go ahead and force the shepherd through. If they want to pierce it, then it had to be a force, right? All right. Now the interesting question here then becomes, um, well, actually, if I hold, we just have to not die to. We technically have lethal with Cradle Hoof next turn. Yeah, we technically have Cradle Hoof lethal next turn. We just need a clench for one turn here, right? If our opponent is indeed on show and tell. They notably forced the Reclaimer, which is interesting. Sure. Wow. Okay, we're gonna steal game one in what I think is actually a very tough matchup. Um. Well, interesting. Technically, it's already lethal. Technically, I think it's already lethal, but I'm just gonna go for the juggler here, right? I should cancel. All right. We go to two. If we get the shepherd, that's three, and then that's not enough. I think. Yeah. So I think we can only just like do this. Ooh, we almost screwed that up. Cancel. Let's do it like this. Yeah. All right. I Nora would be better there. Interesting. Have you considered running Chalice in the board? You have Shepherd. So I just saw your question, Connor. It's something that people brought up when Shepherd actually got spoiled. I think it is a little bit too cute, personally, because in the situations where you want Chalice of the Void, which is like the problem is the earliest you can get it is turn two, right? And by that point, you can play like a Thorn of Amethyst or whatnot. I guess you can play it for zero, but the thing is, like, if you play for zero, might as well play Mindbreak Trap, right? Like, I think I've worked out the permutations where I want it, and it ends up that there's better alternatives for whether you want it on turn one on zero or turn two, right? All right, so clench successful as mentioned by Bookish Matt. We do have some bombs in this matchup. So we will see how that goes. The endurance, notably being the extra creature, was like highly relevant there. Maybe they thought they were safe when they weren't. Um, the crop rotation pretty neat. I think trying to kill an Emrakul with Shriekmaw is very, very iffy. And the trap, I feel like this opponent like tends to be the type to play, if I remember correctly, like Lotus Petals on the turn they're comboing off, but I could be wrong. It's likely just better than some of the other stuff we have. Maw comes in for any of the creature decks, so like D&T where there's hate bears. I'd probably bring it in against these loam decks with Knight of the Reliquary. It is most relevant against Delver because my experience is you don't have the luxury of always having a creature with Glimpse of Nature in the mid game to turn it on Glimpse of Nature, and essentially not time walking yourself because you don't have a creature is a huge deal in the matchup because the more pressure you play against Delver in this matchup, the less they can do against you. It's like really weird dynamic. Let me check my sideboard map real quickly. All right, we looks like we boarded out the Glimpse of Natures, which makes sense because um, I think we just want to go low to the ground and then ideally just go Thoughtseize them, right? That's true. I can't streak my Bob. The coolest thing I've done so far with Shriek Maw, actually it happened this stream where I had, ooh, almost. Ooh, this is like so painfully close. A land and a Bayou in this land, this hand is like perfect almost. Ugh. I don't think we can realistically pass up a Reclaimer hand and just mull to discard. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep this. Reclaimer does notably a lot in this matchup, but more so on the play. So let's see if they Spell Pierce or Fluster Storm that. Looks like not. The Grist does stuff, but I think we just need to hit land drops. Maybe they force this. Who the heck knows? Obviously, if they don't, we're gonna get the Caracas, right? Like has relevant text against our opponent. Yeah, I think given only 4 discard, I don't think we can realistically just mull to discard. That's I don't think a viable winning game plan. I think the whole reason to play Reclaimer is so you don't have to mulligan as much, right? And just like hope it's fast enough. They didn't shuffle, which is kind of alarming. Um, Definitely want to play the Shepherd here. All right. This is like pretty important sequencing because like if they do bolt the Reclaimer, I want to be able to cheat on mana, right? Like I don't want to give the incentive to like bounce or remove the Reclaimer for some reason. Hopefully they just show and tell in like an Emrakul. There's a show and tell. All right. Put in the Visionary. Are they just dead? Uh-oh. That's not good. That's good. I can live with that. Actually, okay, actually an interesting thing that just came up. Yeah, actually, we get the Caracas and we still have the natural order out, so I think I like that. Now we get the Caracas, play it safe. They have to discard. I hope so. I'm trying to think, like, they could bolt, like, one of our creatures, I guess, and force. I think it's 5-0, but we'll see. They have to have Bolt into 4. Oh, there we go. Woo! We did it. We did it. I do love this deck when things are firing on all cylinders. Man, I love Reclaimer. All right. Well, let's go back to the. This is almost a flawless, right? Actually, shout out to the Dragon Day Dragon for stopping the perfect 5-0, right? Definitely Pog for sure. Very nice. Number of viewers right now, but we let's go to return. So obviously Romario is and the two people that we lost to in this stream that we didn't punt the one match obviously are in this stream right here, right? Like, or we dropped the game to Dragon Day Dragon, I should say, and then we lost to Romario earlier. I've done it a few times, but yeah, it definitely is hard. I think I've done it. I mean, I there was a point where I was playing like 2 leagues a day or whatever, right? So I've done it maybe a dozen or so times, whatever it is. But it definitely is not easy. Definitely nice to get the 5-0 here. Uh, who knows about the Mindbreak trap? To be honest, that's like up for debate. The crop rotation I felt like was relevant one time. I could be wrong. Anybody remember off the top of their head? Obviously, the big one was the Force of Vigor. My apologies to Dragon Day Dragon. And for those who know, I would say right now the endurances, the progenitus, the Caracas, and the Thoughtseize are more or less locked. The only one that's not hard locked, I think, is the Caracas. So you have 4, 7, 8 cards that are locked, and then 9 if you include the Caracas, and like 6 cards for like flexibility or whatever, right? But like 2 of them are really removal spells in Shriek Maw. Excuse me. So that takes up to 11. Um, and really, the only flex spots then become the trap, the crop rotation, or the force of vigor. But definitely really fun stream today. I don't know if it's a one of like I don't really I used to think about things in that way, Dragon Day Dragon, but a good friend of mine, Jay Z Jonathan Zhang, in his honor, we will make his quote here. Force of negation is unfair. I want to remind the whole Magic community about this. We will promote. We won't stop until Force of Negation is removed from Modern, right? And one thing I will say is I used to subscribe to. Oh, if you want to see a card, you have to play 2 or 3 of. I don't do that anymore, and I'm like more willing to do things like one ley line and whatnot because I think of how the 75 maps, and if I just need one card, for instance, for a specific matchup or a couple matchups, I don't mind having like the one of Leyline or the one of Trap, which is something I would not have done years ago. Um, and I personally want to thank Jonathan. Actually, he goes by Final Noob or Gristle Turn One Gristle Brand, whatever you want to say, right? But Final Noob is his Moto screen name, or you can follow him on Twitter. Um, I think it's also Final Noob. I could be wrong, but definitely fun. Pair of leagues today. We probably should have went 4-1 with the only loss to Romario, obviously. Definitely punted that fifth match, but I don't feel as bad when it's a 3-2 instead of a 4-1. It feels much worse when it's a 4-1 that should have been a 5-0, right? And let's go back to the league details. Pretty happy all around, right? I think our first round opponent probably like this is like an asterisk. I feel because our food chain player didn't seem like they knew all the interactions. Definitely, gifted us the game back after we punted with a grist play, like to hit their Griffin, right? Alpha Blade, I think the post matchup is good, so I'm not I think that's good. Luxac, I believe they were on Goblins. I think that matchup is favorable, but there are certain hands we just cannot beat, and I think we just drew well that game. Obviously, we dropped one game one to Dragon Day Dragon, who's here, and then the Show and Tell, which I think is final boss, obviously, because I would say of the matchups we ran into, probably the hardest one, especially with only 4 discard, and Mindbreak Trap kind of being really suspect in this matchup. Um, but I mean, shout out to the Force of Vigors that came up big against the Thought Lash deck, right? Did anybody have any questions for me? Uh, I definitely like the main deck at the moment. Obviously, if you draw the hoof and draw the natural, it's a little awkward. I do love to watch some days you playing Doomsday. I actually have with Romario, and the next time Romario's on stream, maybe we'll do Doomsday stream. Thank you for saying I'm smart. I appreciate that. I do think like amongst the community, I think my strength is definitely deck building, especially with respect to elves. Obviously, I make mistakes as a player, but I do think a lot of my advantage, I guess, comes from understanding the deck and how it's built. I do think it's important, even if you don't build a deck, to understand like why certain cards are being chosen. And for instance, if you look at this 75, right, and some people have, they'd be like, why in the heck are you playing Shriekmaw? Like this card does not look like a legacy card, right? But the more I think you understand your deck, regardless of where its place in the metagame is, I think the more you get to leverage that advantage, especially with a deck like Elves, where there is a decent chance your opponent will not understand how the deck works too. Like that is not completely out of the realm. Like I've seen players who just like bolt anything I play for more or less in terms of purposes, right? And you do have a leg up. Obviously, there is a downside too, right? In that people have seen like one mistake and I lose the game as a result. Not where you want to be, right, with a difficult deck, but if you can get over that hurdle for the most part, I think that is an advantage. Obviously, I can go over, I guess, a little bit about the choices. Uh, the main deck is more or less, I think, solved like plus minus one spot, and that spot is like, do you want Progenitus made? Um, I recently went up to the fourth shepherd, so I could have a leaner slash sleeker main deck. I don't feel good about cutting the Progenitus to the sideboard if it was something for like a Queer Ranger or a Nettle Sentinel or whatnot, right? Like one that I think has lower power level individually. I think the fourth shepherd makes me feel okay about that because it's like a sideboard card against like Chalice of the Void decks specifically. Um, the fair blue decks, I don't think you really need it, but it helps or can help. It can be a liability too because against any red deck, you can expect like end of festivities or plague engineer. So I against black deck. So I do think post four it can be a liability. But I think especially when blue red. Actually, I'm gonna find that tweet here. I think it's pretty relevant, and if anybody wants to share it, you're more than welcome to. But I had an epiphany when I was on vacation on a cruise. I mean, I was definitely on a boat, so to speak. Where is it? Here it is. So I tweeted this out, and then I'll bring it here too. But so I also retweeted when I like first streamed back, right? So I had an epiphany on the boat on the cruise that deck building and legacy should be about raising your floor against Delver because you don't want to just give away free games, right? Like that's how Delver wins a lot of his matches. They waste you out of the game. If you're trying to cast like six drops, they can just daze and that's like just feels really bad, right? Um, Things like that. And I had the idea you want to raise the floor of your deck against Delver, but also optimize so that your ceiling is high. So that is the idea why I didn't play Duress today. Namely, we moved the Progenitus to the sideboard to raise our floor against Delver and play the Allosaurus Shepherd as just another high ceiling card. But I also cut the Duress because I feel like it's not the ceiling on the card is kind of low, and let me close this. Unlike Shriekmaw, which at least has synergy with the deck, right? Like it's good with Glimpse of Nature. It helps you, turn that on earlier, which is a problem against Delver previously. I noticed in the mid game if they're hellbent on shutting off your mana, uh, and most notably, it can be found off Once Upon a Time. I think the former is actually more relevant, which is the drawing off a card off Glimpse of Nature, which was different than I thought. I actually thought that Once Upon a Time was more relevant, but it's actually quite the opposite. Both parts relevant. Obviously, I've seen it from Inigo where the three powered body is relevant as well. That's more gravy than anything else. But it is good against the best, or at least the most popular deck in the format. So there is that. It is bridge from below removal. I don't know I would board it in for that, but that is a thing. But yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this list to be honest. 5-0 on stream, 8-2 overall. Probably should have been 9-1 with a loss to Romario, but definitely happy with the Force of Vigors. I'm glad I played 2 today. I think the crop I feel like was relevant some other time. I just don't remember off the top of my head. And then the trap we'll see, right? Like I just don't know about this card in general. Like, all right. With that said, let's see who should we rate here. Unless there's another. Actually, I'll leave some time for questions too if anybody has any questions. Okay, so I see Asian Avenger is teaching magic, whatever that means. That could be relevant. There's Freaky Nasty who's playing Modern. Mr. Bowdingles is Pioneer, or Ham TV is doing Double Masters Phantom Draft. I think so. What anybody have any preferences to who I raid? If there are no preferences, I feel like the go-to here would probably be. I feel like the go-to here would probably be the Asian Avengers since their title is Teaching Magic, right? So we'll go with that if there's no other request. If there are, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Or at least hold it until the next stream. All right, I'm glad everybody tuned in today. Nice 5-0 to end the stream.